year. Welcome to TechCentric episode number 7. It was this time last year, April 1st, 2006, this fateful day where we set out on our mission to provide everyone with quality IPTV and technology information and everything.
Entertainment.
It's been a great year.
A lot's happened in a year.
Lots happened.
Yeah. You're about to get your license.
Tomorrow.
Finally.
Yes.
What are you, almost 19?
Almost 19.
Fair enough.
You broke your leg for 2.5 months, right? Incapacitated, not able to move or walk.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Played a lot of Wii.
Kinda. Jared finally decided to settle for community college, just like the rest of us.
And Nick
still has no job.
Still has no job.
And still, fails to produce any kind of real existence, if you will. But
it's terrible.
Well,
it's time to celebrate, Will.
It's all time to celebrate. It's episode 7. We got ourselves some awesome little thing. What is this?
Birdie poppers.
Ooh, oh boy.
Boy, that was fun.
Yes.
Oh, I think mine's on fire. Wait, no, it's not.
We got a balloon here. See? Happy birthday to you, but it's to us.
Us.
Anyway, this is episode 7. Let's kick it off. I'm going to show you all how to get on the internet from anywhere where you have cell phone coverage. And I think this is a pretty cool segment, and I hope you will also.
We'll think it's cool.
Yeah. Alright, so maybe our intro there was a little bit elaborate, but it still, helps to show the point that once in a while you're in a spot, you're in a very strange spot, and no matter how much Wi-Fi war driving gear you got, sometimes there's just not a signal. So what can you do? Well, you got a couple options. You can go drive around, you can find a Wi-Fi signal somewhere, or you can always do what I've wanted to do since I was a young lad, back in x86 days, trying to get on the internet, good old internet. I've always wanted to get on the internet with my cell phone anywhere I am. And this is fairly easily done with, of course, your Windows-based laptop computer. We're using a Motorola Razr cell phone. Basically, any Motorola cell phone with a USB port will work, with the exception of the Razr. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, well, that pretty much rules out every phone except the Razr. Well, you're right. You can only do it with the Razr. Again, all you're going to need your phone, you're going to need a laptop, just a standard USB cable. The same USB cable, if you charge your phone off of your computer, the same thing will work. And a couple pieces of software. There's several little modifications we need to make to the phone itself. There's no firmware and there's no SIM hacking required if you're using the Windows machine. But there are some little bugs we need to, mess with on the phone, mainly so that we don't get charged for the service, because did I mention this is just using your airtime. Before we do that, I'm going to explain the basics of the Verizon data network. We're doing this for Verizon. This tutorial here is only going to cover on the Verizon network because I don't have any other cell phone provider, nor do I really have a desire to. Verizon basically has 2 big data networks. They have their EVDO network, which is EVDO, which is capable of speeds up to like 8 or 9 megabits, which is pretty comparable to like a home cable line or DSL line. And then they have their 1xRTT network, which is the older network, but it's still in use for a lot of other datacom stuff, and that's capable of speeds up to maybe 480 kilobits, whatever it is. And you can maintain a good download rate of maybe 30 kilobytes a second off of that. So, I mean, as you can see, it's not the fastest thing in the world. It's pretty reliable in most cases, but it is everywhere you are. Anywhere that you have a cell phone signal, you should be able to get onto the 1X network. So let's go ahead and get into the modifications of the phone itself. So one of the things we got to do in order to not be billed for this is change from Verizon's EVDO network, EVDO, into their 1X network, which is the older, slower network, but it's just as good, and they seem to allow free access to it. So in order to do this, just turn on your Verizon phone. As you can see, right now we're in EVDO mode because right above the word Verizon you can see the EV symbol. Our goal is to change that to a 1X symbol. So to do this, we're going to do some little hacks on the phone. We're going to enter debug mode. And to do this, you punch in pound 073887 star really fast. So we're going to try that right now. And we get this menu right here, enter security code. Now, knowing Verizon, it's a very, very, very secure password. Just 4 zeros, actually 6 zeros, my bad. And we get into the programming menu. Scroll down a bit. Going to go into test mode, and we're going to turn that to enabled. Mine was already enabled, but that's okay. We'll put it back on enabled. We're gonna get back to our main screen and reboot the phone. Just shut it off and turn it back on. Turning it back on. Alright, here we can see the FTS screen, which is just a basic, it's like a debug mode for the phone. From here you can do all kinds of cool things. You can get like the GPS coordinates of your phone, and there's a lot of different things that can be viewed or edited in here. So we're going to hit the right soft key here, which is under next. We're going to get until we get to this screen right here. Now you see the section that says HDR preference, where it says auto. We're going to change that to CDMA. You just press down a couple times. And it might be tempting to change this USB diag to modem, but leave it at whatever it's set at. We're going to press the right soft key again until it goes to CDMA. And some people have reported having to change this HDR hybrid to off, but I haven't had to do that yet. So to get out of this, I think it's clear and then the left button, something like that. End in the left button. Now we get back to here, and then it's this. Okay. You hit exit, and then you click clear and the left button again. You're back to your main screen. It's going to reload the phone, and as you can see up in the corner, even below or even before it reloads, where it used to say EV, we now have a 1X. Now the phone is in the older 1X network. Alright, so now that we've modified the phone to only sit on the 1X network and not the EVDO network, the next step is to just go into your computer, boot up your machine, and you're going to load up the Motorola USB modem drivers. These are free drivers, they are legal to download, and they are fully acceptable because most Motorola phones won't charge off of the computer unless these drivers are loaded. So go ahead and load those up. You can get them off of Motorola's developer website or mark.cdmaforums.com, which is where most of this information is from. We'll have a lot of links to that stuff in the show notes, but basically you just install it, reboot your PC for good measure, and then plug it in and it should recognize. So once the machine sees that the phone is actually there, we need to tell the computer how to dial out to the network. Now, we're not using a standard dial-up connection, like we're not dialing out to AOL or to Earthlink or whatever and using the phone as a standard modem. We're actually using Verizon's dial-up ISP. This has benefits like it's just faster mostly. You can establish a connection with your regular dial-up provider, but I wouldn't recommend it because the network's already there. Okay, so the final step in the quest to get on the internet anywhere in the world is to, you're going to crack open your control panel on your Windows XP machine, go to your network connections button, and create a new connection. Skip through all this stuff. We're going to go to connect to the internet and set up my connection manually. Connect using a dial-up modem because that's what the computer sees the Motorola phone as, and we're just going to name this Verizon, like we're owning Verizon, get it? Pound 777 is the phone number. That's the some kind of gateway into, I don't really know what it is, but it's 777. Here we're going to put in our mobile phone number at vzw3g.com. Password is vzw, and repeat it. We're not going to use any of this for defaults, and we're going to click next again, finish, and we get this little connection box here. We're going to go to the properties button and the security tab. Going to go to advanced and custom settings, go to settings again, disable this, disable all of them except for the unencrypted PAP passwords. We're going to get a warning, something about security, nobody really cares, click OK, and we again see our connection window. Give everything a once over again and hit dial. Plug your phone in and hit dial, I should say. At this point we should see the phone itself, the Razer phone, go into packet mode, which I can see is happening off camera. And yes, we are now connected. You can see down here we are connected at 230. And let's just run some quick tests. Command prompt. Alright, this is happening actually through the phone. And that's pretty cool. You can see our millisecond time, our round trip time for the ping is quite a bit because it is obviously cellular. But other than that, it is pretty fast connection. I can download usually about 30 to 40 kilobytes a second on this. Alright, that's good. So basically you probably just got all the information from that screen capture, but just to recap, what I did was I just set up the dial-up network connection. The phone number is #777. The username is your phone number at vzw3g.com, and the password is vzw. You save that connection, you set it to dial out, it'll dial out and do its thing. Also, you need to remember to do the unencrypted password. You have to change it so it only uses an unencrypted password unless you want to do the SIM edit on the phone, which I wouldn't really recommend doing if you don't have to. The other con to that without doing the SIM edit is you do need to use Windows because as far as I know, I think you can do it on Mac OS also, but on Linux and anything else basically, you got to do the SIM edit because the software just doesn't support it yet. So basically that's the conclusion. I didn't go very in-depth with this because it's not a very in-depth process. It's been made very easy to do. There are some legalities involved, however. Basically, unless you drop your phone and break it while you're filming your segment, you're not supposed to do this unless you have Verizon's data network subscription, which is, I believe it's a $60 a month subscription, and it basically gives you all the legal stuff required for you to be able to do this. Also, with that subscription, you do get EVDO access, which is a lot faster. The coverage isn't always better, but it's a faster network and it would be legal. So say you got, your company's paying your cell phone bill. I'm sure it'd be no problem. You can explain it as a business expense to be able to, get on the internet wherever you are. But for the occasional web surfer or getting lost in, another country somewhere, I see, no issue with just using it occasionally. It does use your cell phone minutes, so use it on nights and weekends unless you want to rack up a huge cell phone bill. It uses them just like a regular voice call. Other than that, there's really nothing else to cover with this. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to show me some cool Motorola phone hacking stuff, because I haven't really gotten into it very much, but I plan to because it's, there's a lot of stuff you can do with these Motorola, the new phones with the USB ports and stuff. So if you want to do that, hit me an email at will@techcentric.org. I'm always on IRC, irc.techcentric.org. Finally got our own IRC network going, so no more fumbling around with other incompetent administrators anywhere else. So yeah, just feel free. This is all. Have a good one. I'm still kind of gagging from the party poppers here, but I understand we have Surf One Steve.
Coming up next, yes.
Coming up next. What else is there to say?
I've noticed that every single time, pretty much, I've done 2 sites. So from now on, I'm just going to be doing 2 sites to clarify.
For the clarification,
yeah.
Just so you know.
Okay, so here we go.
Here we go.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Surfing with Steve. I'm Steve, of course, and as always, I'll be bringing you another 2 sites for you to check out. So let's get this started. First one slickdeals.net. I've been going here for quite a while, and I like to check back. Pretty much, yeah, it's every day they bring in about 3, 4, 5 different deals, and usually it's just people that post them from different places, different stores, coupon codes, good deals, things are on sale, and they post them on here, and it's real easy to find really good deals. Like they have Blu-ray DVDs right now, 40% off at buy.com. Pretty good deal. So on the front page it shows you all kinds of deals, and if they're still in bold then they're good, but if they're in just regular text then they're expired. So you need to hurry up and get those deals. You can also sign up for their RSS feed and get new deals, and keep checking that back, and you should be getting awesome deals, if I can say it one more time. And then the second site I have for you is midnightbox.com. This is basically just a Woot clone, but the plus side is you can get 2 deals a day, Woot and Midnight Box. So check back on both of those. Unfortunately though, Midnight Box doesn't have something like a Woot off, which is basically when Woot sells all of one item that's on sale, they put the next one up, and so on and so forth for a few days. So unfortunately, Midnight Box does not have that sort of thing, but it's pretty much a clone otherwise, and I recommend checking it out. So for any other information, questions, comments, concerns, you can send them to steve@techcentric.org, or you can visit us on the IRC at irc.techcentric.org. And room is TechCentric. So hope to hear from you soon. I'll see you later.
Sweet surfing, Steve.
Thank you. I like to surf.
And you're Steve.
Yes.
It fits quite well.
I think so.
Anyway.
I think Tabic's ready to have some fun with the La Fonera.
Ooh.
So let's check that out.
Boy. Oh no.
We're going to be hacking La Fonera. Now, before I get anywhere, I gotta say that this is experimental. If you, there are terms of service agreements and all that legal mumbo jumbo against it. If you do it, it's not my problem. I'm just doing this to teach you guys. I don't exactly condone it, but if you want to learn about it, here's how to do it. That said, here we are. So, Fonera is this little device handed out by a company called Fawn. They are a small free wireless, well, not free, but depends, but they're a wireless provider, and what they do is for a certain amount of money, or if you can get a hold of one of them for free, you can put in a hotspot, and if you're a person, you can put in one in your house or your business, and in return for allowing other people to use your bandwidth, you can take your computer, go find someone else who's got one set up and use it for free. Or if you got a business, you can make money off of it by selling the bandwidth back. So, it's a pretty good deal either way, because who wouldn't enjoy free bandwidth at Starbucks, right? Well, moving on to the physical side of things, this is the router they'll send you. Now, this is manufactured by a company called Acton, and you might notice that it's branded, but it actually looks an awful lot like one of Acton's real models, so just a small redesign to have a little orange logo on it. Ooh, looks a little more like an iPod. Okay. It's based on a 184 megahertz Atheros AR531X processor. It's got 16 mega RAM and 8 mega flash ROM. It's got one single solitary Ethernet port right there, ultimate chipset. It's got BG wireless with a reverse SMA antenna jack, and this is a 2 dBi gain antenna. So, obviously you can tell the range is really, really, really crappy. As compared to your typical router that's often got a million lights on it for who knows what, all you got are 3 for power, the Ethernet port, which is labeled internet, because in its default use it'll be used for internet, and wireless. So, not that much to look at, not that much need to by default. So, now for the software it's running. It's running a copy of OpenWRT. It's running a copy of OpenWRT. The default firmware is going to give you 2 different access points. One of them is going to be unencrypted. That's going to be the one that everyone using your service is on. And then it also provides a private one, WPA encrypted. There's a serial number on the bottom of it that gets you into it for the WPA key. That's for your own personal use, and while the unencrypted one for your clients and whoever else is using it has filters going, like prevent SSH access and stuff, the internal one for your personal use is not. So, some other things about it. The latest revision, time of me saying this, is somewhere in the 0.7 series. So, shows you just how far along they are. It's locked down to the point where if you want to upgrade the firmware, either FON has to do it or you can initiate it yourself, but it has to be signed by the company. It checks signatures and makes sure that you're using official firmware. And on that note, and also to make sure you're complying with terms of service, it does send out a heartbeat signal regardless of whether anyone's on it or not. So, you get the idea. But what if I don't want that default firmware? What if I don't want a heartbeat going back? What if I just want more functionality? Well, that's what I'm going to be covering today, so I guess we'll get started. Alright.
Go ahead, say it.
Now, in order to do this, we're going to need everything here. Of course, you're going to need a Lofener router. You can pay the 30 or 40 bucks or pounds or whatever it is, depending on where you live. I know they keep changing their rates around, so it's really awkward. So you'll have to figure out how much it is yourself on their site. You're also going to need, for the firmware version I'm hacking today, there's an HTML-based exploit. So if you got the same firmware I do, you'll need those HTML pages. You'll need the hacked font kernel. You'll need PuTTY or another SSH and Telnet client. You could use Windows Telnet, but it sometimes misses some of the prompts you're going to need. I don't know what or why, but it does. You're also going to need an HTTP server and a TFTP server software installed, so find them, get them yourself, and you're going to need a copy of the latest build of DDWRT for the FON. Alright, so the first step in hacking the FON router to load our new custom firmware on it is we're going to have to gain SSH access to it. Now, this is so that we can prepare the router with a new kernel and all that will enable us to load non-FON firmware on and to otherwise prepare it for the new firmware. So, what we're going to be using, since my router and the one I'm doing this tutorial for is for routers running 0.7.1 revision 1, it's a two-part HTML exploit that simply tells one of FON's scripts that has a vulnerability in it to start the SSH daemon and allow connections to it. So we're going to do that first. As you can tell, I've already pre-connected to my Fonera router, the private section of it. You're going to want to do this as well. Password, it's WPA encrypted. The password is the serial number on the bottom of it. So, you should be able to find it pretty easily. And anyway, as far as the exploit goes, like I said, it's two simple pages. Text box, submit button. Couldn't be simpler. This first command is going to tell IP tables, which is part of the firewall built into the current FON firmware. It's going to allow connections to port 22 and accept them. So, we'll submit that. And what's really cool is that even though we didn't actually set anything, it kind of tells us settings saved, so that's kind of a good sign, kind of a good confirmation. So, we'll go ahead and start Dropbear, which is the SSH daemon. This takes a second usually, so be patient. Alright, as you can see, I've successfully completed the second half of the exploit. Again, it says settings saved right over here. So we know we're good there. So now what we want to do is we want to connect to the SSH server so that we can continue. So we'll start PuTTY. You can use any other SSH client you want. There are a few good ones out there, secure CRT maybe, but we'll connect to it on the same IP it's already got. 192.168.10.1, port 22 default is great, so we'll connect. Now it's probably going to ask you for an RSA key for, I've already tried connecting to it once just to make sure it was working, but you're going to want to accept that, even if it's just for the moment. Anyway, to log in, you're going to want to log in as root, password is admin. Now, for this next step, we're going to want to make sure we have an HTTP server running. So I've already gone ahead and started HFS, which is a little lightweight HTTP server, just running locally. As you can tell, I've already got my IP and everything I need. So, first thing we're going to do back in SSH is we're going to CD to the temp directory, just so we have somewhere to go. And we're going to wget a file. Now, it's this OpenWRT really scary looking hacker one, and in the interest of time I'm just going to copy paste from here. But it's not scary at all. What it is it's a hacked kernel that enables you to do a couple of extra things, like changing the configuration for booting. So, we'll download it. Oh look, I'm done. And again, HFS nice enough to tell us that something's downloaded from us just now. What we're going to want to do next is we're going to type this ridiculously long mtd command. Pardon my typo. And you can just use tab complete for that last part like I just did. Now what this is going to do is it's going to overwrite the old kernel vmlinux.bin.l7 with this new kernel we've just got that's hacked to allow us to configure booting. Oops. Always make sure you've got all the parameters entered. Now as you can see, it's unlocking the Linux kernel, erasing it, and it's going to write a new one. This can take a couple of seconds, so when it's done I'll come back and continue. Alright, now my new kernel is in place, but before I do anything, we gotta reboot so that we can use it. So, we'll go ahead and reboot. Now, this will take anywhere from half a minute to 2 minutes. I don't know why, but they take ridiculously long to boot, so I'm going to let mine reboot a second, and I'll come back once again when we're ready. Alright, so we've successfully installed a new kernel. I've gone ahead, reconnected to the router, reconnected to SSH, so we're set for the next part. What we're going to want to do now is we're going to want to overwrite the redboot configuration, which is redboot is the Phoneris bootloader. What it does is it will load the kernel much like grub or lilo for a Linux PC. So we're going to want to overwrite that configuration so we can use it to our purposes. So once again, we'll cd to temp. We're going to wget file. I'm going to go ahead and cheat again and just copy paste the file, if I can find it. There it is. I don't know why my IP has managed to change. There we go. Go ahead and wget it. Oh look, done. Now we get to have more fun with MTD. Now remember that this is case sensitive, so you're going to want to make sure you do this right, otherwise you risk bricking it. So, we're good. Okay, so we've written our configuration. Once again, we'll reboot. Okay, looks like it took the command. So we'll wait for it to drop. But what this is going to do is, at this point, the printer is not going to actually be able to boot its old firmware. So we're going to be able to load new firmware onto it. And as you can tell, Putty just flew out on me. So what we're going to be able to do now is we can safely, through the wired Ethernet port, push new firmware onto it. We'll do that next.
Time for a potty break. Go grab some snacks.
Steve, relax. You're gonna hurt your forearms.
They do hurt.
They hurt, right?
Yes.
This rough edge. Whoever designed this desk was obviously an idiot. I got something for you though. Check
What?
this out. You know what this is?
What is it, Will?
This is a piece of pipe insulation. Self-adhesive pipe insulation.
Wow.
So you peel this stuff off here, and it's sticky. It's sticky, see?
Wow.
Both sides. And it's a tubular shape, right? Now, can you imagine what we're going to do with this?
No, I have no idea. What? Please, indulge me.
This costs about $1, by the way.
$1? Yeah. Only $1?
No, about $1. Just
Holy
carefully
crap.
cut it to size and then stick it on the desk, you know?
That is so cool.
Look at that. Once you get it fitted right, you pull the adhesive strip off.
It's
Go ahead.
soft.
It's soft, and it doesn't go anywhere.
Ooh.
Right? How sweet is that?
Premier. Thank you, William.
You're welcome.
Minutes later. It doesn't hurt. Thanks, Will.
And now back to the show.
Alright, now that we've successfully configured our phone to take new firmware, we now need to load the new firmware on. Now, in order to do this, we no longer have a wireless connection because, of course, it's not running anything. So we need to connect via the wired Ethernet jack for this next segment. So, while you're doing that, you're also going to want to wire up a computer to the same router, hub, switch. You can do direct connect with a crossover cable, but I find that it doesn't work in a lot of cases, especially with my stuff. So you're probably going to want to use the router method yourself, like I'm going to be using here. And while you're at it, you're also going to want to get a copy of Pumpkin or some other TFTP server on your computer. That way you can upload the new firmware to it. Now, first thing you're going to want to do is, if you have your router powered, unplug it just for a second. Or leave the Ethernet cord in, but do not let it have power for a second. This is because we're going to try and interrupt it while it's booting. So, while it's off, you're going to want to configure Putty to connect to 192.168.1.254. It's on Telnet port 9000. Now, it's not the default, and it's also not the same IP you were just using, so keep that in mind. But when you have that all set up, go ahead and plug in the power. Now, you have to time this perfectly, or it won't work, but as soon as the Ethernet light starts lighting up on the router, click OK and let it connect. It might take a minute or two, or not a minute, but a couple seconds. And you'll see that I've just interrupted it from booting. Now, Rugboot, if you recall, is the bootloader it uses. So what we've done is we've interrupted it before it tries booting anything so we can upload our new firmware without interruption. Now, what we're going to want to do first is configure it to use us as a TFTP server. So IP_address -L 192.168.1.254/24 H 192.168.1.106. Done. You'll see that it's configured. Doesn't even take any time at all. Now, FIS init, what this is going to do is it's going to format everything in Flash. Takes no time at all. We're good. Now, next step is we're going to load from TFTP a file that we need that contains the root file system for DDWRT, the firmware we're going to be putting on. I have Pumpkin set to notify me just as a debugging measure. It'll load dashes up the screen, you know, just as a little rudimentary progress bar. But you'll know it's good when you get a prompt. Hey look, done. Now, FIS create -B 0x8004100 -F 0x A803 000 -L 0x 002C 0000 -E 0x 0000000 root FS. Long command, but what it's going to do is it's going to set up that file system we just loaded onto it so we can continue. It does take a while, so I'll come back when it's done. It's going to be 10 minutes or so. Alright, now that we've done that, it's time to get another file from TFTP. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, now that that's loaded, we can run FIS create once again. And what this is going to do is install our kernel. Again, it'll take a little bit of while. It's not going to look responsive at all, but it will be. I'm going to go back and come back again when we're ready to finish up. Alright, now that our kernel is in place, all we have to do left is create the extra space where settings will be stored. So again, this will take a second, and we'll be all set. Now that we're all done, we've created our root file system, we've loaded on a kernel, and we've created space for our settings. All we got to do left is reset, and we should load up using our new firmware. Once that happens, you should see an access point using any wireless device labeled DDWRT. You can connect to that, and from there it's just like a stock DDWRT install. So, hope you've enjoyed this. Have a nice day. So we've successfully taken a lockdown Finera router and turned it into something remotely more useful. Still only got one Ethernet port, but you can do an awful lot more with the wireless now. I'll have a pretty written up, nice, good version of the how-to. It'll be linked to on the TechCentric show notes. It's over at my site, if you want to look there. You got any questions, you can email me, nick@techcentric.org, and as soon as the PBX gets back up again, you can call us there and leave me a message. So, happy hacking.
So Jared's house burned down after he left his stove on.
Oh.
So he realized, it'd be a good idea, because he's so forgetful with everything, to, just shut things down when he leaves.
Right.
Including his computer, because,
Because that'll start on fire if you leave it.
spontaneously combust like the oven. So, in order to prevent further burning down of the house, he's established this sweet little setup to shut his computer down. When he forgets, he can just email it. I'm sure he'll explain it much better than I can.
I'm sure there's been many times when you've left an appliance on, for anyone, If it's been the oven, I would say call the fire department now. Your house, apartment, whatever, shack, it's probably been burned down. If this is for your PC, though, you're in luck. I can help you. Today I'm going to show you how to utilize Microsoft Outlook and an email account to remotely shut down your PC. Now, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to need an email account supporting POP3 or IMAP. Now, Jared, how can I tell? Well, you're just going to have to find out the specific stuff. It's on the service provider's website, but I personally recommend Gmail. I've always liked Gmail. Google's been good to me, so I'm going to use them. Now, once you set up an account with them, you're going to need to import that account into Microsoft Outlook. If you already have a Gmail account or a POP3 or IMAP one, then you're good to go. But if you don't, you're going to need to set it up in Outlook. Now, you can do this by going to Tools, Email Accounts, and add New Email Account. Be sure to fill out all the appropriate forms about your account, including your server type, which can be obtained on your account provider's website. Now, after you've done this, you need to download the following package. This is made by Nick, and it's available right here. This package contains a simple way for the computer to just shut itself down. It's a simple process, a simple executable file. Once you've set up your account and downloaded the package, you need to go to Outlook to make a new rule. You can do this by going to Tools, Rules, and Alerts. Click New Rule in the newly formed window. Select Start from a blank rule. Check messages when they arrive. Click Next, and then click with specific words in the subject. Here's where you can specify the words you want the computer to be prompted to shut down. I'm going to use, for example, shutdown space 1337. When a new window forms asking what do you want to do with this message, select Start Application. Define application as the package you just recently installed on your desktop. Click Finish, and you're done. It'll also ask you for exceptions. I personally didn't use any, but you're more than free to do so. Continue to stay in Outlook after you've clicked Finish. In order for this to be an effective measure, be sure to set up Outlook so that it'll receive emails every minute on the minute, so that you're not sending an email and it won't shut down your PC 5, 10, 15, 50 minutes later, so that it does it in a minute. You can do this by going to Tools, Options, Mail Setup, and Send Receive. Configure it how you want to receive and check for every minute or 5 minutes or anything like that. There is a way, however, for you to shut down your PC using a text message. All you have to do is have this stuff running, and you can send an SMS using a cell phone or anything like that. There's ways to set it up in Thunderbird and Outlook Express. It's just how deeply you want to get involved into it. This is a really short, simple way. I hope you like it. I hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully you will be able to shut down your computers just sending an email or text. All right, have a good day.
It's back-to-back fun.
Hello again, everyone, and today I will be telling you how to control your computer with a Wii remote, whether you had it from actually getting a system or if you just felt like going out and buying one for hacking it and seeing what it can do, because it is Bluetooth controlled. So there's lots of fun things you can do with it, and today I'm going to be telling you how to use it as a mouse with the use of a simple program called WinRemote and USB Bluetooth adapter. So let's get into it.
The first step is to place the Bluetooth USB adapter into your computer at a USB port that is open.
So once we have our Bluetooth dongle plugged in, we can start the syncing process. Now in Windows, it's very easy because Windows XP already has the built-in Bluetooth places, whatnot, junk that they like to have in there. So, simple. All you gotta do is right-click on your little Bluetooth adapter icon, go to the Setup Wizard, and tell it that you know the service you want to find, and go down to Human Interface Device, looks like a mouse. And then while you're doing this, you're going to want to hold the 1 and 2 button on your Wii Remote, and you should see the lights blinking. And that means that it's constantly trying to send its message to the Bluetooth adapter, and it should find it. It should be called Nintendo RVL CNT1. Well, at least that's what mine's called. Yours might be different. Click on that, click next. Should sync it up. And then once your icon on your tray turns green, click finish. And you should be synced up. So then we need to get a program called WinRemote, and that's available at this website below. Because it's pretty complicated. Okay, so download the newest version. Make sure you get that installed. So then we need to open up our program, WinRemote. And on the left you should see a little picture of a controller. That'll light up different buttons when you press different buttons. And the first thing you want to do is put your Wii Remote on a level surface. And then go to Options, Calibrate Motion Sensor. So that should calibrate it so that when it's flat, that means it's not moving. Okay, so then we need to go to Options, Cursor on and off. And so this should enable it that the cursor is on. When you tilt it up, the cursor goes up. When you tilt it to the right, cursor goes right. Tilt it to the left, cursor goes left. Down, it's down, and so on. So you can do diagonals, you can do all that stuff. If you go into WordPad and you press like the A and the B buttons and stuff, A and B will actually show up on there, plus, minus, and 1 and 2. If you want to do regular browsing, this program WinRemote in Preferences has it so that you can actually change what the buttons do. There's different things you can make it do. The button A right now for me does left click, and the B button does right click. So I can surf the web and things like that. It's very simple, easy to do, and I recommend it if you have a remote within the vicinity of hacking. And so give it a try. If you have any other hacks, cracks, whatnot with Wii, I would be interested in hearing it, so give me an email at steve@techcentric.org. Next time I'll be delving into using an IR sensor to actually control it like the Wii does on your computer. So until next time, see you later. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I've heard a lot of other people trying to do that same thing with the Wii Remote, and let me see that again. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that. I've seen other people do the same thing with the Wii Remote, and like I said, next time we're going to be delving into using the IR LEDs as like a little pointing device.
It seems like it'd be cool for like a home theater PC, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like point at your Britney Spears video or whatever.
Well, we're not going to get into what's on my documents. So.
Alright, anyways,
Yes.
This is conclusion of episode 7 of TechCentric. We hope you've enjoyed this last year just as much as we have, and we hope you'll come back in the next year for more tech stuff. I'd just like to point out that we are now on iTunes. You can get the link on the website. It's over on the left-hand side. Just click on that. You'll automatically receive all of the new TechCentric episodes in your iTunes podcast, videocast directory thing. They're also listed on the new and improved hackermedia.org website, which also should assist in your RSS needs because ours are horrible. And that's it. Anything else to say, Steve?
Do we need to plug anyone?
Nah, we're not going to plug anyone.
You'll see it in the credits.
You'll see it in the credits.
Alright.
See you next time.
You have a good day. What do you want?
Why is there stuff everywhere?
Because we were partying.
Is there a balloon?
We had a party
Yeah.
with a
Can we
balloon.
stop this?
What?
My favorite.
What?
The Molly thing on the fridge.
Oh, my favorite one?
Yeah.
Next time on TechCentric.
Get on my face with this one. How should I eat this?